Okay, let's take a look today on how to use a protractor. It's a great instrument we have to both measure and draw angles. It's upside down there. But first I kind of want to do a little review because I think it's important to take a look at angles almost from like an estimate view. So here you have a straight angle. Here's a 100-degree or a straight angle. And from that angle, which makes up a line, I can split it into two and make what, is very, very commonly used, a right angle. You'll see that a ton in geometry. And just looking at these two angles, we're actually able to come up with some estimates basically. So if you see an angle with a box that makes up, using a protractor, putting the vertex or on the basically vertex of the protractor, you see here I'm starting with the bottom number, and maybe it's not so much a 90 degree, but close enough. And I've created a 90-degree angle. Now off this, I can make estimates. And maybe I want to estimate an angle that's maybe this blue angle here, right? And I say, well, if I were to split this 90-degree angle into two, it would give me about a 45-degree angle, right? Or not about, it would. So the fact that this is a little bit more, this angle here is a little bit more, I could start making estimates even before and say, hey, maybe this is 50 or 55 degrees, right? And then basically what I'm looking at is, okay, if I see an angle that looks a little bit smaller than 90, let's say 55, I should be coming up with an acute angle somewhere. Anytime I see or I try to draw or measure an angle that's 55 degrees or measure, I should be looking at something that's less than 90. And the same goes for if I ever end up with an angle that, okay, here's 90, and then this is a little bit more than 90. So I'm going to be looking at an obtuse angle. And it looks like almost this angle is split into thirds. So if I split 90 into thirds, this would be about 30 degrees. So with the 90 plus the 30, I have about a 120-degree angle. I have an obtuse angle there. So that when I'm drawing these, an angle greater than 90. So when I'm drawing these, I should be first coming up with estimates so I can eliminate certain answers. So that if I see an angle like this, okay, without even using the protractor, I know that, okay, this angle is going to be greater than 90, okay? So it's going to be obtuse. And also less than 180, right? Less than 180, right? Which is the definition of an obtuse angle. And if I know that halfway here would be about 45, I know, okay, it's a little less than that, so maybe this is 30 degrees, or let's say maybe this is 40 degrees. I can estimate this angle to be 90 plus the 40 and have about a 130-degree angle. So that when I measure it, I want something in this ballpark, let's say, something close to this. Now let's just look at drawing certain angles, and if you can draw them, you probably can measure them. So what I like to do when drawing angles is I like to draw a ray, and I like to draw that ray basically from the vertex of my protractor to maybe the edge of my protractor. Actually, I'm gonna need a little bit more space here, so let me start over. And I'll show you why in a second, why I'm starting over here. So let's say I want to draw a 73-degree angle. First, what I want to do is draw basically my base of my angle, this ray here, we could say this base or ray of my angle, one of the rays. And then what I do is I put this point on the corner of my protractor and recognize that I'm starting at 0. So I have two numbers here. I have 180 and 0. Since I'm starting at 0, I'm going to be following my bottom numbers, which is important. I'll show you why. I'm going to go 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Here's 75 in between, so I need to go 71, 72, 73. So what I do is I make a dot where I believe my 73 to be, and I connect my vertex here to that dot, and I could come up with a 73-degree angle. Now let me show what's important about using the bottom number. If you look here at 70, you'll also see a 110. So a mistake a lot of students will make, and that's why I wanted to go over that estimating with you, is that some students will see this point here, and they'll, oh, okay, 100, 105, and they'll say this is a 106 degree angle, because that's the number, or maybe 107, but let's just say it looks like 106, and say, oh, it's 106, but this can't be because 106 is obtuse angle. And we know that if we drew a 90-degree angle to make an estimate, we knew this would have to be something less than 90. So, you know, be careful when measuring an angle and saying, oh, you see an angle like this, you measure it, you think it's 106, but oh, wait, that's obtuse. Let's do practice drawing an obtuse angle here, just so you can see the difference. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to use the other side to demonstrate. So draw my vertex, make the base of my angle. Because what I want to show you, if you look on this side, now my 0, which was before my bottom number, is now my top number. So now I'm going to use my top numbers. Let's say I'm doing 137-degree angle. So I know I'm going to use my top numbers because that's where my 0 is, and I'm going to come across 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 90, 10, 110, 120, 130. Now remember, this half mark here, that's your 135. So we're looking for 137, so we'll go 2 more notches, and we'll go here. And you can, because we kind of practice with the estimating, you can say to yourself, well, that does look good, because this is 137, and if I were to draw a right angle, or just kind of estimate a right angle, I know that this is 90, this right angle box, this box here is a 90 degrees, so this is more than that. So the fact that this is an obtuse angle checks out. You do have your 90-degree angles to draw, which is fairly easy. Vertex here. Now notice what happens at 90. We're starting at 0, but notice that there's only one number, because whether you start from this side or from this side, this will always be a 90-degree angle. And let's say I wanted to draw two angles that make up a 90 here, and then maybe I make up a 60-degree. And by doing that and creating this 60-degree angle, I've actually created another angle of 30 degrees. And this is a little bit of review too, because if two angles add up to give you a 90-degree angle, we would say these are complementary. Just a little review here at the end, or maybe introduction. Now, one way I use to remember this word is I change this CO, I change it into a 90. And that's how I remember complementary is 90. I could probably also squeeze in here two angles. I'll start from this side. Basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a 100-degree angle right here. And I'm going to use this protractor to create two angles. Maybe I create a 150-degree angle here. Now notice what happens. You know, angle addition postulate tells us, okay, if this is 130, and I know this is 180, well, what is this angle here? Subtract 130 from both sides. Well, I know this angle is 50. And another cool fact here is that since these two angles, 130 plus 50 equal 180, we say in geometry that they are supplementary. And one way I do to remember this is I actually change my supplementary into a 180, and that's how I remember, just like I did here, which one is 180 and which one is 90. So a lot of good things here, you know, how to use a protractor, how to estimate, how to draw, actually, yeah, how to use a protractor, draw, and then, you know, kind of what's supplementary and what's complementary. And anytime you're going, let's say if we just go back, let's say we want to measure an angle, I'll throw that in there too. Just put this vertex on this point here, and then make sure you're lying this ray, this side of this angle, perfectly on the line of the protractor. Start at 0, 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, and it looks like this is about maybe a 44, maybe we'll say, actually it looks like a 43 degree angle here. Yeah, I don't know. About 45. We'll say this is about a 45 degree angle here. So if you're trying to measure, you know, this is now in reality, if this is 137 and this was 90, and we did 137 minus 90, you know, you guys are going to end up with a 43 degree angle. So maybe this is more so 43. You put this line here and you measure over to 43. Just a little bit there at the end about measuring an angle there. So I hope this helped. There are some things added to this, such as straight, right, acute, and obtuse, and what those are, and how they help you estimate, and then just kind of drawing an angle, what to look for in mistakes, and always practice makes perfect.